Good evening, friends, and welcome to Sleepytime Tales, a podcast aimed at helping you to get a good night's sleep. Do you find your mind plagued with the stresses of modern life, especially when the lights are out and you're trying to get a restful night? Does your spinning mind keep you awake? Follow my voice down the path towards a good night's rest. Listen to me tell a story that will keep your mind from wandering to your daytime problems, the ones that you can't solve right now and will be easier to solve well rested. Listen to my voice and allow yourself to drift, following the twists and turns of the story, but slowly letting go and drifting into sleep. Before we go any further, I need to have a little bit of a chat. Have you been listening to Sleepytime Tales for a while? Is what I do here helpful to you? Are you getting better night's sleep? And if you are, do you have the means to provide a little bit of support? If you are, and if you can, please consider helping me grow the show by supporting me on Patreon. Basically, my monthly costs are covered at the moment, so I'm not out of pocket every month. So thank you to those 5 people who are currently backing me. I'm very grateful for your support, and here's to many, many nights of restful sleep for all of you. And thank you for helping me to provide this to the people, to everybody who's listening. So basic monthly costs are covered. I'd like to upgrade a few of the services that I use. And I really want to do a little bit of an equipment upgrade. Black Friday is coming up soon, so I want to try pick up a new microphone and maybe a few other odds and ends. So if you can provide some support and help me achieve that goal, that would be fantastic. If you have even $1 a month that you can benefit, that you can provide on the Patreon, that really will be helpful. And even at $1, you get some very real benefits. I've got my weekly catnap episodes that I play out, that I release on Radio Public and to all patrons. So at $1 a month, you can get access to those. They're little weekly short stories, usually about 10-15 minutes long, to give you a little bit of a fresh something to help you sleep. You'll also get a shout out on an episode, and you get listed on the website and the show notes of the podcast. And thank you. If you can stretch yourself to $5, that is a very handy amount of money to help me out. And you get all the benefits from the $1 patrons, plus you get special promo-free and story-only edits of the show. So you can avoid listening to me asking for money or other kinds of support, or even just completely drop the intros completely if you don't like them that much. And you can listen to just the stories. Also, up until the end of November, I'm doing a little bonus for $5 patrons. The month you sign up, I'll do a handwritten postcard and send that through to you. I'll mail it something fun and touristy from South Africa or Durban, the city that I live in. And also, there's up until the end of November, if I reach $50 on Patreon by the end of the month, I will do a bonus video episode, which will be released exclusive to all patrons, and the audio of that will be released as a bonus episode in January. So if you would like to provide some help, but you don't have the inclination or the ability to provide any direct financial support, this is something I understand completely. Times are hard. 2019 is a very rough year for a lot of people. I think that's why a lot of us are not getting a good night's sleep. You can sign up on my Audible trial. If you go to audible.com/sleepytime, you can get a free audiobook to keep, as well as a 30-day free trial of the Audible service, and I get a handy little kickback from there. Also, if you listen to the show on the Radio Public app on your iPhone or iPad or Android phone, that contributes a little bit of an income to me on the Radio Public paid listens program. And also on Radio Public, you get those same catnap episodes that I mentioned, the weekly minisodes. There's now 17 of those out, so there's quite a chunk of stuff that you can listen to. And then, of course, the usual ways. You can talk about the show to your friends, to your family, share it on social media. if you do, tag the show in on whatever social media you use, so that I can thank you for your support, and maybe we can have a chat. And yeah, of course, also don't forget, if you've just come across the show in your service, whatever you're using, don't forget to like or subscribe to make sure that you find out about the new episodes whenever they're out. And then last but not least, the music that I use for the show is Un Desert by Kumiko. Their music is available on the Free Music Archive. I've linked their website and their Patreon in the show notes, because they've got some very cool stuff that's definitely worth taking a listen to, under various names and in different styles, and I recommend everybody check it out. Thanks for sticking around this far. Let's get back to what you're actually here for. So what exactly is Sleepytime Tales? What is it for? It seems like a bit of a strange idea, doesn't it? It's a podcast that you listen to in the dark and hope that you fall asleep to it. But lack of sleep is something of a health crisis in the 21st century. And this is a podcast it's intended to help those that it can to get a restful night. Do you find that you lie awake at night with your mind spinning and your emotions in turmoil? Do the anxieties of 21st century life keep you staring at your ceiling? Do you find that you wake up in the middle of the night and find that you just can't quite doze back off again? I'm here to help. My name is Dave, and I'm your narrator, here to help you into a restful night. Now, I've struggled to sleep ever since I was a baby. My parents had sleepless nights with me for many years, and even once I got old enough not to bother them anymore, I always struggled to sleep. It was fairly recently that I discovered that there's a tendency for droning male voices to put me to sleep as though I've been tranquilized, like an elephant with a dart gun. And I realized that I've got a boring, drony voice, so maybe I can do my part to help people who need a little bit of help to get some sleep. Now, if this is your first time to join me on this on Sleepytime Tales, every episode starts with this long intro. Now, it's the one thing that I've had some negative comments about, but it is here for a reason. It's quite important. The main thing is that I've got to explain to new listeners exactly what the purpose of the show is, and how I think and other people think it works to engage with it, to help you to get a good night's sleep. And for people that have stuck around for a while, it's kind of an important thing for them. It helps to create this period that builds up to the main story is a chance for them to sort of start creating that, or them and you as a new listener, to start creating that new habit of trying to sleep. Insomnia is a habit. So you need to create new ones to replace the old one. So now is the time for you to turn down the lights, have a drink of water, make sure your room's not too hot, not too cold, snuggle yourself nicely into your blankets and create that space that's going to help you to get a good night's sleep. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a space together, a nest or a little cozy little cabin for you to try sleep in. Now, for me, when I listen to sleep podcasts, I'm listening to them because I need a little bit of something just to concentrate on a little bit. I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say I've got an anxiety disorder, but I'm someone that stresses out sometimes, and if my mind is just left to wander to its own devices, it spins around in circles, and I feel stressed about things that I don't have any control over anymore. So what I need to do is I need something that I can concentrate on just a little bit so that my mind doesn't spin, and then sleep can come for me while I'm listening. For some people, maybe my boring, drony voice is more like something akin to sea sounds or rain noises to other people. I find the sound of the ocean beautiful but rather distracting. It doesn't help me sleep. But droning voices are quite a different thing for me and for other people as well. So even if it's just as white noise, it's still a valid way for you to engage with the show, because at the end of the day, it's about you creating what you need and me helping to provide that to give you what you need. And if there's a different way that you engage with the show and I don't know about it, let me know. Pop me an email on contact@sleepytimetales.net and tell me how you use Sleepy Time Tales so that I can share it with the listeners as well and maybe reach somebody else and help somebody else who I'm not quite there for in the way that they need. So tonight's story is I'm returning. It's our third episode in the Mutewallow series, the one about the mysterious town of wizards, a sort of documentary style that I sort of do one-sided interviews and talk to the listener as though you're watching a TV show. Bit of an interesting one, or strange one, I think, but I quite enjoy doing these. It's I don't even know why. There's just something about this whole thing. I've managed to keep it away from being Harry Potterish, and so I think creating a sort of distinctive style. And it's an interesting premise that's executed in a boring way, which is ultimately, I think, what really works with these shows. It's because it's an interesting idea, you listen to it, but it's not so interesting that you stay up and can't get to sleep. So the main thing is, however you engage with the story, whether you're listening to it fairly closely or you're just letting it drone in the background, the important thing is that you don't try to force the sleep. Whatever you're doing, whether listening to the story or letting it roll in the background, just try to keep a sort of light mental grip on my voice, on the story or the tone of it, whatever it is you're engaging with, so that when sleep comes for you, you can just let go and drift off. Now, obviously, ideally, you'll be asleep before you get to the end of the episode, but again, don't force it. Don't feel pressurized. If this is your first night with us, it's very likely it's not going to work for you. It may take a few nights for you to get used to listening to my voice. I've got a bit of an unusual accent. Maybe it's strange to you if you've never heard my particular regional South African variation of accent. Maybe a single episode just isn't long enough for you. What I do actually is, with my sleep podcasts, I queue up a whole bunch, enough to run all night, and I just let them play. So when I wake up at 3 a.m., and which is starting to become a more common thing, then I can just pop my earbuds in, because they're probably fallen out somewhere, and just go back to sleep. Sometimes even my alarm goes off an hour or 30 minutes. Rather, I'll wake up an hour or 30 minutes before my alarm goes off. And again, I just let myself go back to sleep, drifting on the voices of whatever I'm listening to. There's something about that particular period, if I manage to fall asleep again before my alarm, that is just so deeply, deeply satisfying. I think there's just allowing yourself to relax completely right before your alarm is just, I don't know why, it's just so satisfying. So maybe try that out. Queue up a few episodes, or just let the backlog stream through, and that gives you the basic idea. All you do is you relax and you lie in the dark, and while you do that, I tell you a tale. So relax, dear listener. My nighttime friend has decided to lie in the dark, listening to my voice. One thing I promise you is that you'll always be safe with me. I'm here to help you relax. I'm here to do a small part to help your life and improve it in a big way. People don't sleep well these days. Like I said, it's a public health epidemic, and it makes everybody's lives harder. So give me a try, and if I can help you out, then that would be fantastic. Tomorrow and the day after that, you'll be better, well rested, and better able to cope with the challenges of life. one thing that's central to the concept of sleepy time tales, and what I try to do here, is I focus a lot on kindness. I want to be kind to you. I want to share kindness with you, and I need you to be kind to yourself. As I said as well, if this is your first night with us, or your second, or your third, or you've been stuck with me for a few months, and tonight's the night you just can't get any sleep, it's very important that you don't get on your case. Don't beat yourself up. Don't rebuke yourself over not being able to sleep. Don't get tense if you just can't get over the edge, even with me here trying to help. Frustration and tension are such huge enemies of a good night's sleep. The intention with this podcast is to prevent that frustration and that tension, to distract that feeling that you get. I mean, when I was younger, I sometimes used to lie practically in tears over not being able to get to sleep at night. I've become a little bit more practical about it as I've gotten older, but I still sometimes get so frustrated, and it doesn't help. Don't blame yourself. Don't get frustrated. It's just one of those things. Just relax. Be kind to yourself. Take a breath. Forgive the fact that you can't sleep, and let my voice wash over you. Take another breath. Imagine the warm darkness rising up, inviting you to sleep and to a better life starting tomorrow. And if you can't let go, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, and we can try again tomorrow. If you've had a life of insomnia, sleep can feel like it's an enemy. Something that fights you, but it's not your enemy. It doesn't fight. It's a natural process that we've been pulled away from by stress and life and supposed progress that shines bright blue lights in our eyes at all hours. I'm here to work with you, to create a safe space, a cocoon in which you can curl up and allow nature to take its course. So if you're still with me, thank you for staying. If you're already asleep, we'll chat again soon. And of course, you aren't hearing me, except maybe in a dream. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to Mysteries of Life. I'm Trent Carrington. For this week's episode, we are back in the town of Mutewallow. If you'll recall, last time we were here, it was the All Hallows celebration, which is what they call the local Halloween. Now, as I went over last time, it had proved rather tricky to come back for various reasons. Well, it manifested in various ways, but as it turned out, the main reason it was difficult to get to Mutewallow was there was actually a sort of spell around the town that was preventing it from being found. The town is actually protected in a way by a sort of elemental spirit that makes it, if you don't know, even if you do know exactly where it is, but without an invitation, it can be very difficult, if not completely impossible to find. The difficulties getting back here actually cost me my previous cameraman, Frank, and also kind of cost me my position on the previous network. But now we're back with a company that understands what we're doing here and supports our work. And here we are once again, back in Mutewallow. Now, we didn't have any trouble getting here this week because we were here last time for the protection rituals, so we are now, in a way, marked as being welcome as a standard thing. You'll see now, sorry if I'm breathing a little bit deeply and panting, well, being a little bit like Bear Grylls here, we're crawling through the forest. There's a surprising lack of, well, I don't know if it's surprising, very little is really surprising here. There are no paths to where we're trying to get to. Earl, you're going to get hit by a branch there? Okay, yeah, okay. All right, sorry everyone, that's my cameraman Earl. He's very focused on his job and he almost got hit his head quite badly there. Where was I? Oh, yes. So now we are in the forest outside of Mutewallow. The area is still within the sort of circle of protection, but we're quite far from the main town proper itself. we are going out to meet one of the local hedge wizards. Now, hedge wizards and hedge witches, so sorry, are they're people that are they're still part of the magical society, but they don't really deal. Well, they do deal with authority, but they don't like to be subject to some of the more strict regulations of the magical schools, like Betexel Findom, the mayor, who you may recall as a member of the Red School of Wizards. So they have their own sort of way they do things, so they sort of live independently. Now, Frank Christensen, he's a hedge wizard from a old magical family. The family members, the Christensen family, are known as being rather independent. They usually do join schools, but sometimes they like to break off because they like to do some independent research. There seems to be a little bit of a stubborn streak in the family. So he studies and lives near Mutewallow because there are a lot of advantages, and the work he does, even the people in Mutewallow, Texel himself said that the work that Frank does is beneficial, but it can go a little bit wrong sometimes, so they prefer to keep away out of town. The Christensen family has had wizards of all sorts of disciplines: alchemists, necromancers, chronomancers. That's an interesting one. Those are people that work on time. It's quite interesting. Elementalists and all other sorts. But Frank specializes in elementalism, but he works independently. He's not part of one of the elemental schools or one of the schools that deal quite a lot with elementals. Now, as I said, we spoke earlier to Texel Findom, the mayor of Mutewallow and a member of the Red Order, and he also is the head administrator of the Red School for Mutewallow. There are other towns around the world, actually, similar wizard towns where people work independently, but Mutewallow is the only one we know about. Betexel decided that they wanted to go out a little bit more public, so here we are. So I'm going to cut quickly to our conversation we had with Betexel earlier. So, Texel, tell me about Frank. What is different about hedge wizards that makes them separate makes them different to people from the town, most of the other wizards that live and work in town? So you say hedge wizards tend to work independently. Are they like evil? Are they bad? Are they dangerous? Okay, generally not bad. So they do work that maybe can go a little bit wrong, and schools don't want to be responsible for what happens. Okay, that seems, I suppose, sensible in a way. So they're not directly affiliated with the school. The Christensen family, are they highly respected? Is Frank unusual in his independence? So, okay, they're mostly Owl School. What is Owl School? Owl School specializes in mostly elementalism, okay, and dealing with animals. It seems a bit of a strange crossover. I really got to learn not to make any assumptions. So basically, elementalism and creature magic have a lot in common. Okay, okay. And Frank, what is he like personally? But cranky, I suppose. Okay. Solitary life does that to people, and it also appeals to cranky people, I guess. But overall, he doesn't suffer fools, but overall he's a very pleasant person. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'd rather not deal with a highly cranky magician doing potentially dangerous work, so thanks for reassuring me there. Much appreciated. Okay, so and he lives out in the forest. Is he still within the circle of the town? He is. Okay, so he's still within the protected area, but far enough away that if something goes wrong with his experiments. Okay. All right, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much. All right, and we're back again. Once again in the forest. There seems to be a bit of a strange history with Frank Christensen and the Mutewallow administration. Etexel seems not exactly hostile towards him, but I think there's a little bit more to it than he suggests. I don't think the people of Mutewallow, the administration, and the wizards who sign up to join these communities like independent thinkers or actors. I think most of them think independently, but act within the common good. There seems to be a sense with hedge wizards that they maybe are a little bit erratic and potentially dangerous. I'm not sure. I don't have a perspective on that myself, but I'm just an observation. There seems to be a sort of implicit suspicion about Christensen specifically and hedge wizards in general. I get the sense that sometimes the reason they're outside of towns is in case their experiments go bad, and sometimes they go very bad, and it's the organized groups that need to tidy up afterwards. But anyway, let's continue. Now, can you, Earl, do you think you can... Sorry, it's been months and I still nearly called you Frank. Sorry about that. Do you think you can get a shot of our guide while we're moving through the forest here? Yeah, I'll try and make sure you don't trip. I'll keep it while you're going. Just watch your step there. Okay, you're pretty clear from it. See if we can get a good shot of our guide. Yes, folks. There you go, you got it. All right. Yes, folks, as you can see, our guide is a large snake. And you can't see from this angle. He looks somewhat like a cobra, but I don't think cobras get that size. Looks more like a boa constrictor in size. You can see that he's bright green. What you can't see at the moment while he's moving is how beautiful actually the coloring on his skin scales are. There's a lot of different shades of green, mostly light colored. You can see how he almost seems to glow in this light. I mean, this forest is quite dark. These are very heavy evergreen trees. It's heading towards winter. It's a bit overcast above the trees that there. You can't really tell from where you are, but believe me, it is quite dark and miserable out there. But the snake, which is amusingly called King Green, is very bright and easy to follow through this forest. I think that is why he was seen to be our guide. A bright, glowing, almost glowing snake. Quite an effective guide in this sort of lighting conditions. As you can see, the forest is very thick and dense. There's quite a lot of undergrowth. There's no sign of a path where we're going at the moment. I don't know if snakes don't follow paths, or there's just an area where there's not quite a lot of traffic. Although the undergrowth here does seem a little bit thinner than the surrounding bits. It's very thick there. There's a little brook down here, so I think maybe it clears out around the river. Yeah, you can see there, like, the rest of the forest looks almost impossible. So King Green has selected a nice area for us to come through, even if maybe the footing isn't quite as firm as we would like, especially poor Earl walking with the camera. Luckily, the rest of the crew is very good at guiding him, and he's a true professional. So, King Green, would we be able to take a break for a minute, please? King Green, could we take a break for a minute, please? Thank you. I just need to take a little bit of a water break. Getting a good sweat on here. Don't think we've got too far left to go, but let's just take a minute so Earl needs a chance to maybe catch his breath. I need a chance to catch my breath. This has been quite a difficult hike. More so than I expected, really, if I'm honest. I think I need to start doing some more exercise regularly. Okay, so King Green, would you mind coming over so we can get a good shot of you? Alright, folks, there, as you see, he's rearing up, spreading his hood for us. I can tell you now that it is rather alarming. I've watched enough movies to know that cobras spreading their hoods is a warning sign, but it is alarming, although I'm almost entirely sure he's just showing off for us. It was quite a shocker when he arrived to pick us up from the mayor's office, I can tell you that now. It was quite funny to be in the office and have a knock and the mayor's assistant open the door, and a giant Cobra came in to pick us up. Atexel seems to know King Green quite well and said that there's definitely no danger. I thought we played it quite cool, but then we must have had a bit of shock in our faces when he rolled up and spread his hood for us to take a look at. So he's been guiding us very well and capably. I'm sure we could get to the forest a lot more quickly without having to wait for our slow progress. I mean, look at that coloring. It is really, really gorgeous. Okay, so apparently these trees are mostly pine and fir trees. They're the sort of ones that are endemic to the area. They are evergreen, so the leaves never fall, although there's a lot of needles and stuff. I mean, they're always green. The leaves fall all the time, obviously, but they never go completely leafless as... well, I don't know, I'm telling people what evergreen tree means. I'm sure pretty much everybody learned about that in school. It's usually quite snowy this time of year. There hasn't been much snow so far this year since All Hallows, and we're heading now into the holiday season. I wonder what the Mutewallow people do for Christmas. That should be an interesting event. I must try be around for that, I think. So there hasn't been much snow yet this year. If there had been, I don't think we would be making this trip. This would be really miserable with snow on the ground. Although heavy forest, I don't know how much snow actually reaches the ground. I suppose it all does eventually. Yeah, so anyway, everyone got their breath back, had some water, grabbed some a bit of a snack. Okay, alright, let's head off. I mean, we have only been traveling for like 45 minutes, but it's been quite a lot of work. Okay, let's head off. Thank you, King Green. Let's go again. Luckily, we were warned that it was going to be quite a trip out to Frank Christensen's house. So we did bring some bottles of water and a few little trail snacks. Yeah, we were told it was probably about an hour and a half's walk each way, which is quite a solid walk, but I don't think it's actually very far. It's just progressing through this forest cover is quite strenuous. All right, so we're moving along. See here. Okay, there's quite a lot of signs of animal life. There are deer and sort of squirrels and stuff around. Do most of these creatures hibernate? I'm not sure. Maybe they do hibernate, maybe they don't. Maybe the presence of the magicians means things change. Actually, that would be an interesting thing to sort of look into. The impact of magical towns on local wildlife and nature. Might be something for the future. I mean, take a note and make a note there. And yeah, that may be something to discuss later on. Alright, okay. Apparently we're getting close to the cottage. I'm not sure how I knew that. I mean, I don't really know where we are. I just got the sense like the cottage is like just on the side of those trees there. I don't know if somehow King Green has communicated with me. There's very little strange in this. Well, there's a lot strange in this town, but very little that I find strange anymore because there's always something unusual happening. Alright, so I got a sense that we're about to come through. So Frank, get ready. Try to get a good shot as we come out of the forest here. Try and make it look natural. Of course you'll make it look natural. Thanks, so. Okay, there we go. There's the cottage. Now, I really got to learn better about... I should know better than have expectations about anything in this town. Because, obviously, I was expecting something a little bit different to that. In my head, I had something like a log cabin or a witch's cottage. Something rustic and looks handmade, but that building is quite stunning. It's not very big. It looks probably about twice the size of a, to me, sort of stereotypical log cabin. But looks very modern somehow. I guess it's all the glass and windows. It seems to be, okay, it's in a clearing. It seems to be built to take advantage of the light. Now, cold areas like this, you sort of assume you're going to see small windows and thick walls for efficient energy management. You don't expect to come on a cottage with giant glass French doors and sliding windows, particularly with the doors and the windows all open in the middle of winter. As much as it's not raining, it is freezing cold. But I guess things are different for some people. Wizards may have different priorities. Especially because, as you can see, I don't know if you can see too well from here, there's a lot of animals coming and going in and out of the windows and the doors. They seem to be pretty much making themselves at home. There's a couple of deer coming in and out there. Don't think deer are supposed to hibernate. I'm pretty sure most rodents do. But there's deer there. There's squirrels coming in and out of the windows there. There's a couple of badgers. Those I'm also pretty sure hibernate, but I really shouldn't speculate. I haven't done any study on this. It just seems this place is bursting with life, and that is not at all what I expected. There's even a couple of rats coming in and out. They seem to be going about their day, just coming in and out as they want. Okay, right. Normally rats in people's houses are not very welcome, but obviously, again, we have a situation where things are not at all like we are used to in the outside world. Okay, alright, there's a little fence with a gate here around. There's like animal gates that they go in and out further down. But seems polite to come through the gate with the bell here, but our host is waiting for us. Frank, Mr. Christensen, good day. Can I call you Frank? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for coming out to the gate to meet us. It's much appreciated. Okay, just going to step in here and sort of talk about Mr. Christensen, about Frank. Again, I'm never sure what to expect when it comes to meeting a wizard of any sort. I always kind of expect, I guess in the back of my head, I always expect someone to look like Gandalf the Grey from Lord of the Rings, but they very seldom go around like that all the time. Frank is dressed like a lumberjack, red and blue flannel shirt, hard-wearing jeans, work boots, and but he is wearing a ritual robe. Yeah, it's rather old-looking, a little bit worn and threadbare, but I get a sense that it's really high-quality fabric. Hi, Frank. Sorry, just a strange thing. I just wanted to ask you about the robe that you're wearing. A family heirloom. It's been in the family for 5 generations. That's amazing. And so 5 generations of ritual robe in the one family. Is it like a doctor's coat? Do you wear that when you're doing specific work? Almost exactly right. Okay, interesting. So you were in the middle of something when we were coming. Sorry, yeah, we were running a little bit late. Moving with a camera cruise through this forest is a little bit tricky. Sorry about that. King Green was an excellent guide, but we were still moving more slowly. So I guess you couldn't wait around for us to arrive all day. How did you know we were coming, that you came out to meet us? How did you know that we were nearly here? I thought I saw a squirrel move like with a little bit of extra purpose earlier. Alright, so he was running ahead to let you know that we were on our way. Quite a handy thing, having all these familiars. Oh, they're not familiars, they're just friends. They help you out for... So they're not familiars, they're not bound to you the way a familiar generally is. Okay. How do familiars generally work? Are they regular animals? Are they sort of spirits? Or is there something deeper to that? Oh, so it's an animal whose spirit is bound to you. Well, bound to each other. Okay, so it's mutual. It's not like animal slavery. They do choose you and then stick with you. Okay, now that's interesting. And so none of these animals are just like mates that come and hang around and come and grab some food and bring you some stuff. And then King Green here is your familiar. King Green is not a familiar. What is King Green? Oh, he's actually a spirit. It has taken this form. Okay, that explains why he's, number one, way bigger than any cobra I can ever imagine, and two, why he seems to almost glow. I thought I was imagining the glow, but I guess it was actually kind of there. Alright, I just thought it was like such contrast with the forest, but I guess in that context that makes sense, that when we noticed the glow in the mayor's office, we didn't. He looked brightly coloured, but not radiant the way he seemed coming through the forest. Okay, so he's a spirit that's taken the form of a snake. Why a snake? He likes snakes. There's as good a reason as any, I guess. I mean, if I was going to take the form of something, I don't know what it would be, but it would be something I like for sure. Okay, so you have time for our interview now. Thank you very much. Coffee ready? Thank you very much. Mrs. Christensen. Amelia. Amelia, good to meet you. Thank you very much. Are you a magician yourself? Yes. The animals are more your partners. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So, Frank, tell us about why do you work so far outside of the town? Why are you a hedge wizard? What is the reason for your independence from Mutewallow? Okay, so hedge wizard magic can be dangerous. Is there much risk of like evil something happening, spirits wandering around or something like that? What is the danger in the work that you do? So you choose to go independent to keep away from the schools so that you don't potentially hurt anybody else. So you do see the value of the schools and of the more organized magician wizard society. But the communal nature means that sometimes it's just like some work that is just too dangerous to do. Is the work that you're doing not dangerous to you and your wife and any potential children? No children at the moment. So you would probably give up some of the more dangerous stuff if you had a larger family, but your wife knows exactly what's going on here, so she's fine with it. Okay, let's see that being interesting. So do hedge wizards often have things go dangerously wrong, and to the point that it's better for them to be outside of the regular wizard society? Not that often, actually. They usually are fairly careful and responsible. Okay, now that's interesting, but so just in case what you do, something disastrous happens, do the people in the town respond to what happens? They usually do. You got some kind of alarm or something that lets them know. Okay. So what is the important work that you're doing that has to happen outside of the wizard town, but is still important yet still quite dangerous? Oh, we'll get to that in a little bit. So, okay, all right. So do hedge wizards generally recognize authority of the magical authorities or non-magical authority? I don't really know how these towns and how wizards relate to government, local and national and international. Okay, so most governments know that you people exist. You folks exist. All right. Can the government do anything in particular if a wizard goes bad and other magicians don't do anything about it? I mean, you've got magic. Surely there's not... I mean, the police can't come and arrest you. So, yeah, I suppose most governments do have extreme force available to them. There was a whole town of hedge wizards that got very dangerously out of control one time. When was this? During the First World War. Okay, whereabouts was this? Verdun. So even a town of wizards can't handle one of the largest artillery strikes in history. Okay, so the whole thing wasn't aimed at them, but part of it was. All right, okay, that's alarming and bizarre. Okay. So you recognize authority, you work along with authority, but you largely work independently of it for everyone's safety. Okay, so why did you invite us out here? I mean, you were invited. The Texel seemed a little bit surprised. I mean, we were invited. The Texel seemed surprised to relay us that message. So he wanted us to see the other side of organized magic, the sort of slightly less organized but still accepted part. Okay, that's very interesting. All right, so what is the magic that we're here to see? I've got to tell you, we haven't seen, well, I mean, other than the All Hallows ritual, we haven't seen much in the way of actual magic. Wizards seem to be a bit of a circumspect bunch. I sympathize. The society can be very intolerant of all sorts of things, and I'd imagine that counts for magic as well. So what are you actually out here doing? Can we get into that now? Okay, let's go down to your lab and have a look. Alright, okay, I see summoning circles there. I kind of half expected a pentagram. Those are elemental symbols, right? I've been doing a little bit of reading up in my in-between times. Okay, so most wizard houses are powered by elemental spirits, but the spirits have to be bound against their will, and you don't really approve of that. I gotta say, I'm pretty much on board with you there. So your idea is to try get elementals to agree. Gotta figure out a hard to break agreement that will get them to do what you want in return for something else. Okay, I gotta say I approve of that, but what do you offer elementals to stick around? Experiences, fuel, stuff like that. Okay, little artifacts. They're like magical artifacts. Okay, right, and that keeps them friendly and helpful. The biggest problem being that they sometimes get bored and wander off to do their own thing. I could imagine that would be a bit of an issue. And I could also imagine that that's why, a large part of why the organized groups don't really approve of it. I mean, I can imagine you get a house full of fire elementals that suddenly decide that they want to go play baseball outside and things will go badly south for everybody around. Okay, but you're starting to figure out the right price for the right elementals. Okay, sounds rather noble, I have to say, actually. I mean, I don't like the idea of binding creatures, even if they're spirits, if they've got some kind of will to do something against their will. So this seems like actually rather noble and important work. So I can see why they allowing you to do it. I mean, this isn't the sort of thing you want to repress, surely. Okay, so they allow you to do this, but you've got to stay quite far away in case these things get out of control. Have you had elementals get out of control? Yes, quite a few times. Are there particular elementals that give you more trouble? Air elementals. Well, for some reason I thought fire ones would be the most difficult. No, they just like fuel and energy, and then they pretty much do what. Okay. So that also explains something that I half noticed but didn't really bring attention to. I expected this house to be freezing cold because of all the doors and windows being open for the animals to come in and out. But it's rather comfortable and toasty, actually. I mean, we came in and we took our coats off, and I didn't even think about it at first. So you've got fire elementals powering your house in return for a little bit of fuel and little magical trinkets that you make. So you just like magic stones and stuff, and they're happy with that. I've got to say that's actually rather cute. Just the idea of like, here's a little magical rock I made here to keep you happy. Air elementals are more willful, though. Are they much use for anything specific, though? I suppose so. Air covers electricity as well. They can do direct electricity generation, which is more efficient than using a fire elemental to generate electricity. Okay, now that does make sense. Okay, that's amazing. That's kudos on the work that you're trying to do. I really, really appreciate you taking the time, and it seems like good and important work to do, so thank you very much. Alright, we have a long hike ahead of us, and it's getting a little bit late in the day, so we better get a move on. King Green, there he is, going to come and guide us home. Thank you very much. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Amelia. Thank you for your hospitality, and thanks for taking the time to have a chat to us. And thanks for sending King Green to help us out. Alright, folks, you don't need to sit with me as we go through a long hike in the woods again, so I'm going to sign off for tonight. So as you can see, Wizard Society is a lot more complicated than we may have expected. I kind of expected it largely to be centralized and quite authoritative, but to see that there's a very strong spirit of independent study and that it's encouraged by the official authorities. We also learned that non-magical authority knows about what's going on with these people, and that at least one of the purposes of one of the largest artillery battles in the First World War was to wipe out a family of magicians that went bad. So that is quite a disturbing little fact to finish. But I'm sure we'll see you again soon. Thank you for joining me on Mysteries of Life. I am Trent Carrington. For my cameraman Earl and the rest of the crew, good night. Thanks again for joining me on this episode of Sleepytime Tales, the podcast designed around a bedtime story to help you to get a restful night. New episodes will be released every Sunday night to give you something fresh to help you rest in a new week. But make sure to subscribe in whatever service you use so that you get new episodes whenever they come out. A reminder that the music for tonight is Desire by Kumiku. Check out more of their work on their website and their Patreon, which you will find linked in the show notes. Good night, and sweet dreams.